Hey, what's up, guys? So here we are back again on the Python Back on Stacks Playground. This is just going to be a little bit of fun, no structured theory lectures or anything planned. I just wanted to show you a little bit about the Codex CLI. So this is something I've been playing around with a lot with the OpenClaw. I'm not even using OpenClaw anymore, but just using the AI agent Codex specifically. That's from OpenAI that is also used in the OpenClaw framework. But I've been finding that the OpenClaw framework is kind of a huge pain in the butt to use. A lot of people on YouTube are complaining about every update that OpenClaw does that it breaks it, and you have to start over. So yeah, it's kind of so much of a pain in the butt that I think it's why not just make your own kind of agentic workflows. So this is what I'm experimenting with, and it's kind of fun. So maybe we can just go over just a quick once over what Codex is, and then let's just try and push it to see if we can keep on building a building automation system. So this is just like a fun experimental Saturday morning, and if it's a total flop, who cares? It's just for a hobby. So here we are. So like Codex is something that's included with ChatGPT. I have it. So it's something you can just like log in with your ChatGPT account, and it's actually built into ChatGPT. I think at one point in time, Codex was its own model for ChatGPT, but now the latest and greatest is that it's just a it uses like GPT 5.5, 5.4, and 5.4 mini, but they massage it somehow to be specifically for coding purposes. So it's no longer its own model. Now it's using all of the same enterprise models, but it's basically behind the scenes. I think they give it some skills or something to be specifically geared towards coding. But anyways, beyond that, it doesn't really matter because I think like these models are all pretty smart, coding or not coding. So I just have to like watch my 5-hour usage, make sure that my weekly things aren't hit. I might even upgrade. I might downgrade my Cursor AI IDE and do more Codex things. I'm not really sure, but okay, so just like to talk a little bit more about Codex. It's on OpenAI's GitHub. It's all written in Rust, huge Rust projects. I think it has like 6,000 commits. So yeah, pretty big project, huge. And then you install it with JavaScript package manager called NPM. So we've been doing a lot with the Python package manager for installing backpipes and some other Python libraries to scrape the internet, and we use the Python package manager called pip. For whatever reason, the people must be big JavaScript fans, so they use NPM to distribute this compiled Rust thing called Codex. So like, just think of it as it's a compiled program that's written in Rust, and it runs as an executable on the computer. So it's so every time we use it with the CLI, which is the command line interface, it's just we're just passing in arguments to the Codex program written in Rust, and it's compiled. Not very much different than when we use backpipes. We have to pass in command line arguments for the address and the backend instance ID. So it's just a compiled program, and then behind the scenes, it's calling the OpenAI data centers. So yeah, a lot of cool things going on here. So enough about that. Maybe I'll watch this. Okay, so this morning I am on my, this is Cursor. So I'm on my little test bench server. So just in my office, we've been playing around with Raspberry Pis. I think if you, I might just pan my camera. If you see this See this guy right back here? This is just an old crappy desktop that's converted to Ubuntu server. So that's just like another flavor of Linux. There's no desktop environment at all. It's just like how I was explaining the Raspberry Pis. It's just it's a server basically. So it's a Ubuntu flavor of Linux, which is a really popular one. It's kind of lightweight, so like web apps out on the internet might be running something like this. It's just a command line interface only. But let's see if we can play around with it. Okay, so like right at the moment I am SSH'd into this my server that I just showed you. Just gonna list it. There's also some like really weird feature that Cursor must have now that's kind of annoying, but like every time I run the command, it makes this funny noise. So if you hear that sound, it's like some feature that's in, must be this newest version of Cursor. It's almost kind of annoying, but it gives you another little beep that if it fails for whatever reason, so just have to ignore it for now. Okay, so what can we do with Codex CLI? Before we jump into building automation systems, let's just this a little test here. Let me just show you this, what I've been kind of playing around with. Okay, so when we call, so I have this installed. So like where I was showing you like how to install Codex. Let me just get back here just to do Codex version. So like you just install it with npm. I think you can pass in an argument for status. No, it doesn't like that. You can pass in for help. So these are command line arguments. So we will, yeah, this is something, dangerous bypass. So like you can do a lot of cool things with this. So this would be like agentic AI workflows. I've already experimented with this, where from my Windows computer, I can SSH into another Linux device, and I can be bootstrapping. I can be doing things on that other computer. I've played around with bootstrapping Voltron again through AI agents or a web app written in Flask, some kind of piddly things, which is for experimentation. I can use a couple different models, which I was saying Codex is basically the AI agent interface that OpenClaw used under the hood, but now I'm just using it. I'm bypassing OpenClaw because I think it was a kind of a pain in the butt. So let's just see if we can just play around with this directly. So this is where you could pass in your model. So I'm just using GPT 5.4 mini. So I don't burn through this right away. And this is also something like on OpenClaw, you can do model routing policies, which is basically this. So these model routing policies, something be in the scenes of OpenClaw is smart enough that you can ask OpenClaw through the prompt to write a model routing policy for you. So like what I was doing was basically I would paste this into OpenClaw, and it can rewrite its own files, its own model routing policy. And I got this off of Reddit. So it's something that behind the scenes, if there's like just really easy decisions that the AI agent needs to do, maybe it just needs to check that if a process failed, or if you're doing like an internet search and it timed out, or 404 is a bad internet request, a 500 HTTP code is a server error, or it times out. So, or just these are really simple. Like in other words, like you don't need a full-blown GPT 5.5 or GPT 5.4. You could use the mini model to kind of do some of these simple tasks, which will really help. This makes huge difference. And then just to only use the complex model. So this is like really kind of cool to to use with something like Hermes or OpenClaw. Just paste this right in and it handles it all under the scene. Like, something that I think I want to get into a little bit more is how to create your own customized model routing policies. So like, for example, like if we're building automation system, like we could have it like very specific, use GPT 5.4 mini, and then we could even like very specifically say like what would be used to call the GPT 5.5. So I think at some point in the future, I also want to experiment with running models locally. So like I want to do this someday, so like build my own computer and like have something a little beefier than this crappy desktop computer that's repurposed. So it has a Windows 7 sticker on the side, only has 8 gigs of memory. It's something very, it's not very good, but it's something just for fun purposes on a test bench. I want to build something that would be a little beefier, maybe 64 gigs of RAM, maybe even a GPU, accelerated graphics card that I could use for AI purposes. So perhaps I could run Google's Gamma models, I think they're called. They're open source, lightweight models, kind of for these purposes, and then only make Agentic, for really our enterprise model calls for something really complicated. So that's what I want to do someday. But until then, we're just kind of here. If you're looking for this model routing prompt, which I was very thankful to find on Reddit, just go to Pi back in the Stacks Playground. I can list it, and then just look for this discussion OpenClaw model routing prompt, and then you just like hit the copy button. There's like a copy button there, and just paste it right in. If you're still using OpenClaw or Hermes or whatever, I am not though. So okay, so where should we get into this? Just do some little tests here. Okay, so we talked about the CLI, and then the only thing I have on this, gosh, that beeping noise is annoying. But okay, so let's just talk about this. I just have a notes thing. So I'm just going to change directory. Well, I guess we can see this right here. So maybe I'll just delete it. So this is my test that worked already. So let's just change directory into the text notes. It's the only file on this computer. Then this file is just this guy right here. So I'm just going to call Codex CLI directly, pass in. I want to use that model. And YOLO. YOLO stands for you only live once. I think it's some acronym for in AI, like the AI agent. It's like it dies right away. You only live once. Create this task, finish it, you're dead. We don't need you anymore. YOLO is also something I can remember from computer vision. I used to play around with that a little bit. And that was like you only look once, and that was like something to do with the latest and greatest computer vision model. But this acronym is back again for you only live once. So okay, so like let's just try this. So we're gonna pass in like what to create a hello codex text. So we're gonna ask the model to come up with a joke and then put the joke into a text file and save it right here in this directory. So a little like a new file will pop up here. So like that's kind of just like a proof of concept that it can create files, and then we'll get into something more complicated. Is like those files could be scripts, they could be Python programs, it could be something, whatever. It could be a web app, it could be backnet commands, and then it can run it too at some point in time. We'll just get to that later. Okay, so let's just here we go, like create hello Codex text file in the current working directory, put one silly joke about building automation HVAC humor in it. I mean, I might even expand this. So create one silly joke about building automation HVAC humor in it. Let's make up something really dumb regarding why the air handling unit divorced the chiller. Okay, this is really stupid, but let's just see what it does. It's just for proof of concept and playing around, and sometimes I feel like adding a little bit of humor to this stuff, makes it more funny. If I was doing this professionally, I probably wouldn't do something as stupid as this, but okay, so like we're trying out the Codex. It basically gave us a couple of little prompts here. I already heard my stupid beep that it worked. Get these like really funny, like looking print logs, like all this stuff. It's so it definitely works. So it called the data centers, wherever OpenAI lives, and all the Rust code that's running this did its thing, and it used 3,000 tokens. So there's another thing I've played around with, having it track its model context and context window, I should say, in percentage, and also tokens. So let's see. Ooh, we have a file right here. Let's see. Okay, so this is our joke. So the air handling unit divorced the chiller because their relationship had too much latent tension, and the compressor said it was tired of all the cold shoulders. Oh, funny. Ha ha ha. Okay, so like, let's I might stop this video and kind of just do it for one like little introduction for Codex, but like I'll probably resume it again. So what I want to get into is this is a construction specification for a building automation system, and let's just see if Codex can build one. So that's coming up. Talk to you soon.